Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Ma'am Betty Sailun, as a lecturer of speaking professional contact, in this opportunity, I would like to present my seminar proposal. Before I begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Yanualita Rahmawati. The number student is 2110020, and I'm student exchange from University of Negeri Kanjuruhan Malang. The title of my seminar proposal is Students' Difficulties of Online English Learning. Okay, next. Chapter 1, Introduction. Next. Background of the study. The emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic has closed all schools and universities. The COVID-19 pandemic is a heartbreaking problem for all inhabitants of the earth. All segments of human life on earth are disturbed. Without exception of education, many countries have decided to close school and university, including Indonesia. This crisis really came suddenly. Government in any part of the world, including Indonesia, must take a bitter decision, namely to close school, to reduce direct contact with people, and to save lives. Implementation of learning and teaching must take place online. This process runs on a scale that has never been measured and tested because it has never happened before. It is not overlooked that the children of students in remote villages become completely confused because the information technology infrastructure is very limited. The condition of the teachers in Indonesia does not fully understand the use of the technology. This can be seen from teachers who were born in the 1980s. Information technology constraints limit their use of online media, likewise with students whose conditions are almost the same as the teachers who are meant by understanding the use of the technology. Technology support devices that are clearly expensive. Many parts of Indonesia are still in an alarming economic condition. The welfare of the teacher and student has prevented them from being completely limited in enjoying the information technology facilities and infrastructure that were very needed by the COVID-19 disaster. Next. Research question. Do students have difficulty learning English online? An objective of study is to find out students' difficulties in learning English online. Next. The significance of the study. The following are the benefits of research. Number 1, this research can be useful as an input for increasingly knowledge about online English learning in the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 2, the English teachers can be implement an online learning model that can make it efficient in the learning process and have facilitated students to improve learning outcomes. Number 3, the researchers can increase the knowledge and information about online English learning in the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, the definition of the key term. First, difficulty. Difficulty is the quality or state or being hard to do, deal with, or understand. The quality of a state of being difficult. Online English learning. Online English learning is a learning that is done electronically by using electronic-based media, computers, and networks. Online learning is also known as electronic learning, e-learning, online learning, internet-enabled learning, virtual learning, or web-based learning. Pandemic Pandemic is an epidemic of the infection disease that has spread across a large region, for instance, multiple continents or worldwide, affecting a substantial number of individuals. Next. Okay, next one is chapter 2, review of related literature. Next. Okay, first is the nature of learning. Learning is a translation of the English instruction consisting of two main activities, study and teaching, then put together in one activity. Teaching learning, which is then popular with the term learning. To understand the nature of learning, one must first understand each part, namely the nature of learning and teaching. From several sources that discuss learning, there are some similarities in substance about learning, which is basically a change in behavior, include knowledge, attitudes, and skill. As a result of the interaction between students and the learning environment. Of this understanding has two important elements that explain about learning. First, change in behavior, and second is the result of the interaction. With the regard of these three terms, study, teaching, and learning, Professor Cedar Alwasilah provide that following restriction is first, study is reflection of a student personality system that show behavior related to a given task. Second, teaching is reflection of the teacher's personality system that act professionally. And the third is learning is the social system where teaching and learning takes place. Okay, 2.2 is the principle of learning. The principle of learning is divided to parts. First, general learning principles, and two, specific learning principles. First, general learning principle is from learning to producing relative permanent change in student behavior. Students have a potential and ability which are the seed of nature to be cultivated and developed. Second, specific learning principles. There are two parts of this specific learning principle. Number one is the principle of attention and motivation. Attention is the focus of thought and emotional feeling physically and psychologically on something that is the center of his attention. Motivation has very important role in the learning activities. Motivation is someone who can move to do something. According to H.L. Petrie, 1986, motivation is the concept we use when we describe the force acting on or within an organism and initiate and direct behavior. And number two, activeness principle. Learning is essentially an active process in which a person that activities consciously teaching a behavior. An activity occurs in response to every learning. In the learning process, students must actively learn and the teacher only guide and direct. 2.3 is online learning. Online learning implies a learning process that uses electronic as a learning medium. According to Ono W. Purba, 2002, online learning is a form of information technology that is applied in the field of education in the form of virtual schools. 2.4, the characteristic of online learning. There are several characteristics of online learning as follows. In online learning, students no longer need a special place and time to study. And in the learning process, students no longer only have access to textbooks and other print learning resources. And the teachers and students can access electronic documents to enrich their learning and so forth. 2.5, the type of online learning. According to Hockey, 1998, there are three possibilities in the development of internet-based learning system as a follow web course, web-centric course, and web-enhanced course. And the last one, 2.6, there are the advantage and disadvantage of online learning. So there are more about advantage and disadvantages of online learning. Next. Relevance of the theory. The study that is related of this research follow number one, student perception in online learning by Nurian Shah Adijaya and Lestanto Pujisantoso 2018. This journal discusses student perception of student interaction and learning environments in online learning lecture. 25 survey research with Likert scale technique was used to gather data by giving 100 student questionnaires. Number two, the case of EFL learners by Marcus Deligirik Alu 2010. This journal discussed learners' perception on online learning in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic by interview the learners by calling them by using WhatsApp application. Next. Well, then chapter 3, research methodology. Next. Research design. This research design of the study has been conducted by using descriptive qualitative research, that aims to explain phenomena by collecting data as deep as possible. Source of the data from 11th grade high school students. Technique of the collecting data with a questionnaire. Questionnaire is the number of the composed inquiry ought to be replied or finished by respondent. Next. Instrument of the research. Document analysis and questionnaire. Technique of analysis data. There are data reduction, data display, conclusion, or verification. So data reduction is the process of selecting, focusing, simplifying, searching from theme and pattern, and the neglecting needed. Data display. The data display page is done in the form of short description using original text, which can be also in the form of graph, matrix, and chart. And the last one is conclusion and verification. This is the last step of analyzing data. Analyzing data, the researchers conclude in the main point from all the data that has been collected so that it will become clearly. Okay, so that's all the presentation about my seminar proposal. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.